We're Hassani and Danielle Pettiford, and we're a real couple with real problems who almost called it quits.
I was very frustrated. I became very disconnected, very jaded and cold.
We have 4 children, going on 20 years of marriage, and we practice what we preach.
Our mission, to change the way couples relate to one another and teach them the skills needed to improve the quality of their relationships. This is the Couples Academy Show.
I used the wrong intro. Hello, everybody. Hassani, are you in?
Welcome to the Couples Academy Show, right? No, Ask the Experts, and we're glad to have all of you on. My name is Hassani.
And I'm Jeff.
And I'm Lakeisha Hines.
We're going to get this right at some point. We're going to get this right. But that's who we are, and we're glad to have you on the show tonight. Listen, it's your opportunity to ask your questions so that we can give you answers. We only have 30 minutes, so let's dive right in. Derek, good to see you, my friend. How do you deal with your spouse that's constantly verbally abusing me with her words, throwing everything in my face every chance she gets, constantly says things that's not true? She never stops. Jeff, Lakeisha.
It's a representation of the pain that she's feeling that hasn't been dealt with. And so one of the things that needs to happen, obviously, because right now, you only know what you know. And one of the pain that you're feeling is not knowing how to unearth the pain that she's dealing with. And so I would consider seriously getting counseling so that you can actually get beyond this. She's saying things out of the pain that she feels. That's evident. People don't react this way when they're not feeling pain. And so that needs to be revealed. And sometimes, as I've said this before, if someone who caused all the harm, the person that rolled the grenade in the room is not always the best person to be the person to try to fix everything. So if you had any kind of infidelity or any kind of problems in that regard, then it's going to be very hard for you to be the person that also helps her heal right away without additional help.
Agree. Additionally, my first thought was, where is it coming from? Obviously, I do believe that pain is there, of course, but I don't know how you have been dealing with it. You're asking now for, what should you do? How should you handle the situation? And so depending on how you handled it previously, that may have actually
I think
you froze for a second there, Lakeisha.
Well, we all like everything froze. I didn't know what happened. But anyway, Derek, I think, look at how you were previously handling the situation, because if you were not handling it appropriately at first in the beginning, then that could have made the situation worse. It could have escalated it because of how you responded. So definitely going forward, acknowledge the pain, acknowledge what was done, take ownership for what it is that you did. I don't know if you did or didn't, so I'm speaking as if you did not, because I don't know your entire situation. But yeah, she's angry. That is a major part of having to deal with infidelity. There is a lot of anger, there's a lot of frustration, there's hurt, there's pain, there's a myriad of emotions that she's going through. But definitely, I would say reach out. I don't know what stage you guys are at. So the more information we have, the better we are able to assist.
Yeah,
I know who they are. It's time to get back. It's time to get back into some sessions. Sean says, if a spouse is not consistent, is that a form of manipulation? It's very interesting. I don't know if you saw the program this morning, but it was about consistency in your marriage. I can't speak to your spouse's heart, motive, and intent, but in a general sense, a lot of wives in particular complain about their husbands not being consistent. And because we deal with these husbands, I don't think it's a form of manipulation. I don't think they're intentionally doing it to control, to manipulate, to make things worse. I think that for some, there's all different types of situations. And Jeff, you can speak to this. Some are just lazy and aren't willing to do the work. Some change takes time, so they're mechanically doing things that's not inherently their nature yet, right? And it's a process of doing the right thing over a period of time. The more you do it, the easier it gets. So I don't know what part he or she is in the process. And sometimes people do things in a compromising type of way where their heart's not in it, their mind's not in it, they're just doing stuff. But they have to be reminded, they have to be encouraged, motivated, and explained to why they need to do it in the first place, because there may not be any buy-in. Some just forget and need to have themselves held accountable, right? Accountability is really the key. I just did an individual intensive with a gentleman who said, man, this was phenomenal. And guess what? I've realized that this is the start of a journey and I'm going to need more of this. I need to come back down for more. I need to do, we need to do some daily accountabilities, because it's not like I don't know this stuff, but I need to be held to task. And I think for a lot of us, the lack of accountability will lead to inconsistency and more hurt and harm in a relationship. Jeff, will you want to speak to that?
Sometimes it's easy to understand these things better when we use something that we can all relate to. So in my family, everyone's obese. My sister's obese, my brother's obese. I have one brother who's not genetically, like, I guess he just didn't get that gene. But my whole entire family, aunts, cousins, uncles, aunts, lost knees from diabetes, all kinds of things. So working out and eating right are not part of the consistency of my family's environment. So when it came to maintaining good weight and good shape, I didn't have any proper examples of how to be consistent in that. And so what you have to look at is sometimes we're not raised with a good model of what consistency is in our lives, from our parents, from our neighborhoods, from even our churches, our communities. We may not see consistency around us. We don't know what that looks like. So we do things that are inconsistent because we saw that as the way of doing things. So how did I get more consistent with weights and doing the fitness and all that other things? I got a coach. And I gave him permission to yell at me at 3 o'clock in the morning if I'm not on my way to the gym. I gave him permission to scrutinize my diet. And if I don't put it in the app, I get yelled at. So you need someone to help guide you, get you accountable until you have a pattern of consistency. And then, you can go from there.
This is the thing. Infidelity, again, is not the start of your problems, right?
It's the
result. It's the result. So we know that there was a lack of consistency prior to infidelity.
Absolutely.
And so you can't expect, I know when you are the betrayed, you're expecting, well, if they're remorseful, if they're really sorry, then they should be doing everything possible to be consistent and prove and show me and change. And you're right, they should be doing everything that's possible, but understand it is a process. As Jeff said, it's a new pattern of behavior that they have to learn, and it's going to take time.
Excellent answers, guys. Let's go to another question. As far as triggers go, do I write down every trigger I have and go and give it to my wife and say, here, this is what triggers me? Or is there another smoother way to have this discussion? First of all, as a technique, I think that's awesome, because I think that you need to be aware of your triggers, because a lot of people aren't. So one of the things that we guide people through is we have them do a brain dump, right? It's called the thought journal, where you dump all your triggers and then you share it with your spouse. So what you're doing is actually a correct thing to do. The question is how you do what you do.
Exactly.
If you do it with frustration and anger and all of those other things, it's going to be off-putting and it's not going to work. And so this is why it's important sometimes for a coach or someone to guide you through that conversation, so that it's delivered the appropriate way and received the appropriate way. And on that note, this is one of the things that so many people struggle with ongoing. And that's exactly why we have this Overcoming Emotional Triggers Masterclass February 19th, 2022 from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. And I believe the entire crew, the entire team, including Danielle and myself, will be present to really go deep dive in a comprehensive way to share with you and your spouse how to overcome these triggers. So great question.
I also want to just say one thing to that. It is a good thing to announce your triggers. And I know that triggers is a buzzword in today's language, but we must understand that being triggered is not okay. Like, We want to overcome our own triggers, not just not be triggered by our spouse. We should not be triggered unless it's something like, a guy punches you in the face, that's going to be triggered. Like, there's definitely wrong actions that deserve a proper response. But because we're triggered, we may want to let them know that these are the landmines and this is why I react. That does not make it okay to react in certain ways that are bad behavior. Yelling, screaming, fighting, just because something made us feel bad. We have to learn to unearth that, work on that, and get beyond that if we want to have a successful and healthy marriage.
Excellent, excellent. We have a lot of questions. We're going to jump right into these. Okay, so we have a question from Nina. Good evening from Detroit. My question is, how many goals do we set for our husband to reach, or do we just do one goal at a time? For example, tell me I love you more than once a week. Well, this is what I could say. You can have several goals. You can have an incalculable number of goals, but you can only focus on one goal at a time, right? So focus. Well, let me rephrase that. Let me rephrase that. There's the primary goal, right? Sometimes there are other goals that can supplement or complement or be attached to or be clustered together with that main goal. But the main premise is there's a book called The One Thing. Okay, the one thing. And basically it says that as human beings, our minds weren't necessarily meant to multitask. There's something called the domino effect. If you had 60 dominoes and had 6 rows of 10 and knocked them all down, those dominoes could only go so far. If you took all 60, lined them up in one row, knocked the one down, it will go much further. So in essence, when your mind is focused on a particular thing, focused to follow one course until successful, you can knock that thing out quicker to then get to the next goal.
I also had one thing that kind of bothered me with the question. How many goals do I have for my spouse? This seems to be a less inclusive. We're planning together. These are goals we want. These are things I know I should work on. These are things he knows he should work on. Goals for my spouse concerns me a little bit.
It should be goals together, right? Goals that we establish together as a couple.
Exactly.
Yeah. Listen, I want to bring this over to you, Lakeisha. Here's another question by Cheryl. How do you know the difference between love bombing and true repentance? What a great question.
That is a great question.
Question.
Wow. Awesome. Hey, so they can look very similar, right? Love bombing, they're just giving you all this attention, giving you all this affection. I mean, it looks amazing. It feels great. But true repentance is going to be a turning away from, right? We're turning away from past behaviors. And it does look like they're remorseful for what they're doing, not look like they're actually remorseful. And you can tell, you should be able to feel it. You should be able to sense it. But I think the major difference is consistency and intent, right? What is the intent? Are we love bombing because we're trying to get back into bed with you? Are we love bombing because we're trying to get back in the house? Like, what is the intent? If we're love bombing because the intent is I'm trying to recreate a sense of security and stability, and I really want to rebuild this relationship, and I want to do things different. I want to show up different from how I was, then that's great. Because love bombing can be negative or positive, right? So it really is about intent. And then, like I said, with true repentance, it will be consistent. It will be a changing of the mind. It will be a changing of the actions, and it will be consistent.
And I want to encourage, I totally 1000% agree. So please, folks, if you haven't watched today's message, and I keep bringing it up because I keep hearing the word consistency, watch it because we dealt with it in a powerful way. I want to jump in on this and say love bombing is completely opposite to repentance. Hear me. Love bombing, right, is when somebody is doing all the right things. It's a focus on doing all the right things. Repentance is a focus on no longer doing all the wrong things. So he could love bomb all day long and still continue to do all the wrong things. And he's love bombing, but he's not repentant. You understand? So you want him to be repentant, no longer doing the wrong things, and love bomb, continue to do the right things. I think that's the clear line of distinction to help you to determine whether something's authentic or not. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right, let's go to the next. This is a good one. This is a really good one. Veronica says, how do you deal with a spouse who has committed adultery and says that they are in love with the other person? Is the relationship repairable or should I just move on? We have 4 children. Any advice?
So none of us can tell you to move on or not. Like, that is definitely a decision that you have to make for yourself. You cannot make anyone stay if they don't want to stay. You can't make them be there if they don't want to be there. I will say this though, when it does come to infidelity, a lot of times it's really smoke and mirrors. The person that is participating in the affair, a lot of times they feel like they're in love with the other person, but a lot of times it's infatuation, it's lust, it's not true love. So it's really up to you if you choose to hang in there, stick it out, continue to fight for your marriage. I'm always a proponent for that, especially if it's, you're not being abused physically, you're not in harm's way, and in that way, then I'm always saying, yes, fight for your marriage. But definitely, it's something that you really have to spend some time thinking about it. This is not a decision that you can make quickly. You can't make it overnight. You do have 4 children, so you know that they will definitely be impacted by that. But the thing is, they'll be impacted whether you stay or go if you guys don't fix it and make it right. If it's not a healthy environment for them, they'll still be impacted. So you just really need to take your time, weigh out all of your options. And, maybe this is the opportunity for you to reach out to us and do some work on yourself while your spouse is over there still trying to figure it out.
Yeah, love it. Listen, we have another comment from JJ Rick. Good evening, all. I think you are all so amazing. However, Lakeisha, you have helped me every time I've watched too. Thank you all for everything you do. Listen, we're starting a Lakeisha Hines fan club. You can send all of your gifts and monies to our address. Thank you. We appreciate all of your love for
I
Lakeisha.
pay them. I pay them to say all these comments.
She's absolutely amazing. We're glad to have her on the team. Let's go to another comment. Jeff, this is for you. I'm starting to look at him like a roommate and not a husband after counseling. I'm healing, and he keeps saying time will heal this. Okay. I feel like I'm faking because we just keep going on like with life. Sad.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm confused. You're healing or you're not healing? Because he's saying time, you'll heal over time. So I'm assuming that
she's dealing with her own pain.
The focus is on the roommate piece. So Jeff, I want you to explain this because oftentimes when we say I do, we notice that there's a slow regression where we go from soulmate to role mate to roommate.
Yeah,
and
so
in this marriage.
Absolutely. So the problem here lies in the goals and the aims. Because when you go from girlfriend to boyfriend, the goal is to become close, to become intimate, to become exclusive. And then there's another goal that goes beyond that. And then that goal becomes marriage. And then that goal maybe become children. And now what? Now we're stuck because we stopped creating goals together. We're supposed to live happily ever after, right? Like after we get married and after we have children. So now we're mom and dad and we've got the business of running the house. We've got the bills to pay. We've got all these kinds of things. And life is supposed to be happily ever after. And we arrived at this fantasy world. The whole world gave us was a fantasy. And we're like, now what? I'm going to make this really simple for you. Start setting goals. Start dreaming big for your marriage. Think of the things that you can do. If it's not in the world of your kids and your family, then what can you do for the community around you? Come up with a vision for your future and dream together and accomplish these things. And it can start off simply with simple lists like, what do I really want for my future? What do you want for your future? Then you go and you see what things are in common. And you start working on those together and become a passion for you to accomplish together. Because before, the relationship was something you wanted to accomplish together. You've got that. And unfortunately, in our lives, we don't like stability and sameness. We like stability as far as not wanting chaos, but we don't want stability meaning stuck.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want the same car 10 years from now that you had today. You may want the same house. We'll leave that one alone. But you might not want the same job, same position, and same pay 10 years from now that you had today. You don't want the same TV that you had 10 years. You change your phone. You change your food, your diet, the restaurants you go to, the movies you watch, the things you're interested in, but you don't change what you're doing in your marriage. That is where we're creating a desire for change in one regard, right? And that desire is exceeding our willingness to work to achieve that desire in all aspects of our lives. And so this is where consistency comes in. If you're going to change clothes and change this and change that, you have to be willing to work and change on your marriage at the same level, at the same effort. Otherwise, other things will take priority over your marriage. Period.
That's a phenomenal answer. You guys have just been hitting it. I wish I had my bomb machine for both of you. Listen,
Well, I just dropped the microphone for him.
Yeah, that was awesome. We're not going to go to commercial break, but I want to make a quick announcement before we get into the other questions. Number one, Last Chance Weekend, February the 11th through the 13th is this weekend. We're almost filled up, but there is space for more. So if you're interested, please reach out. We've gotten emails, text messages, and phone calls. So people are interested. So there's a little bit more room left. So feel free to join. Once again, I just mentioned Overcoming Emotional Triggers Masterclass, February the 19th, 2022, 3 to 7 p.m. It is only $197. It is something you do not want to miss. Foundry starts February, I think it's the 22nd, but it's that week. The 22nd, it will be on a Tuesday. It's a 12-week program. It's phenomenal. You do not want to miss it. And listen, last but not least, our new office hours are 6 a.m. to midnight, Monday through Thursday. On Friday, 6 a.m. to 6. On Saturday, 6 a.m. to 4. And unless it's an intensive, we're available 7 days a week. We try to make ourselves available to people all over the globe so that they can get legitimate help, because there's a lot of practitioners and therapists out there that mean well, but may not be skilled to give you what you need. So reach out to us at Couples Academy. There's a number of questions I want to jump to. Here's another one from Lindsay. I have anger inside due to the betrayal, but I also know that I don't want to be angry. My anger comes out in tears. My husband doesn't want to be with an angry person. Will the triggers class help me? Absolutely, it will help you. Without a shadow of a doubt, it will help you. It's going to help you. If
you do the work.
Pause on that, because what I was going to say, Jeff, is the triggers class won't work. It's just not going to work. Counseling doesn't work. Watching this show doesn't work. Going to church doesn't work. Reading the word, none of that works. You have to work. And if you are teachable and coachable and willing to do what we unpack for you in that 4-hour experience, it will be transformational for your life. So,
okay, I got to jump in. First of all, I know you. And there is work that your husband has to do, Lindsay. Yes, there is work you have to do. Yes, you have to deal with the triggers. Yes, you have to get healthy every day. Everything that they're saying is accurate. At the same time, your husband has to show up differently. He has to be consistent. Someone who's angry can't tell another person not to be angry. And you know what I mean when I say that. So your anger is coming out in tears because there are things that have not been dealt with. And it's going to continue to come out in tears until those things are dealt with. But definitely get the help, get the support that you need. You've already signed up for the class. You're going to love it. You will learn a lot. But I'm telling you, your husband needs to be signed up for Foundry.
Boom.
I love you, sis.
Next question. Terry Williams says, is it uncommon? That's where I want you to focus. Okay, guys. Is it uncommon for a man to have a 20-month affair and treat the affair partner like she's the wife by buying cars, 3 of them, in fact, and putting them all in his name, and then buying himself a car too? So I'll let you all weigh in, but I'll start.
Continued.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And then treat his wife like she's nobody and nothing, with no communication, total shutdown of any and all conversations. Is very painful and very hard to live in this relationship.
Take it away, Lakeisha.
No, it's not uncommon. There have been some crazy things that have been done in these affair situations, like literally people being put out the house and cutting off their ability to pay for stuff, like all types of insanity. So is it uncommon? No. Is it crazy? Absolutely. Is this person thinking straightly? I don't think so. So it's, to me, not uncommon. So
Okay.
You're going to have to set boundaries. There's a part of this that is beyond your control and a part of it that you're accepting to some degree. And I know this is difficult because you're dealing with someone who's out of character and out of pocket. That's way, 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 way out of pocket.
It's insanity. We've seen these situations, and you need help, sis. And this is not something you can do on your own. And the reality, listen. You know how you listen to, like, you watch the Steve Harvey show, and they have these strawberry letters, and so the people will write these scenarios down, and then Steve will flip it and start challenging the one who wrote the letter. Like, what's going on with you, right? So my question is, as devastating as what your husband is doing, how long have you been aware of this? I just have questions for you. Listen, I don't know what. Go ahead.
Can I say this?
Please.
Infidelity is not about love. Okay, it's about a personal need system that's out of whack. It's about an inability to set boundaries. It's about a sense of entitlement. Might be an addiction problem, unresolved internal tension from a long time ago, a deep-seated belief of inadequacy beyond. So why did the infidelity happen in the first place? What is this person dealing with? What are they going through? Because honestly, this isn't just them waking up one day saying, I'm going to treat my wife like crap. So what is going on inside of this person that leads them to believe that this is appropriate behavior?
Yeah. Absolutely. 1000%. So please reach out to us. It's just that simple. Let's go to another question. We only have 3 minutes. Can I have an example of one marriage goal? Okay. I want financial stability in my marriage. Boom. I want better communication in my marriage. Boom. I want great sex life in my marriage. Boom. I mean, there's 1,000 of them. What do you want?
I want to travel and see the world. They can be fun too. It could be like, we want to go learn how to cook a dish from every country in the world, so we're going to take cooking classes together. They could be like, we both want to learn how to paint. We want to, go on adventures together and be more explorers, and we want to put ourselves in new and fun and interesting situations. It can be fun, but there should also be some work too involved in that. Things that could benefit you, like financial stability, learning about money, those kinds of things. I get those. Those things are important, but not always fun. I would say, just because of what you gave us before, Nina, like how like you're just feeling like you're there, these goals probably need to be exciting. So let's get some excitement back, and then we'll do a little work, and then we'll add a little excitement. When we hit a big goal, let's set rewards for ourselves by doing something exciting and fun.
Yeah. Listen, I'm seeing a lot of comments here about you signing up for the triggers, overcoming emotional triggers masterclass from you, Nina, from you, Sean. There was somebody else in here. Listen, Lindsay, and I appreciate that. Listen, get in while you can get in. Don't think about it. Just go ahead and do it. Have your spouse sitting right next to you. If your spouse, for whatever reason, can't make it, don't use it as a reason why you should not do this, because guess what? You will get a recording, and there will be a space and time where you will be sitting down right next to your spouse. It is a journey you need to take together. Somebody asked the question before, but what if I don't have a spouse in my life? We're separated, we're divorced. You need it for you. Once again, your spouse has a responsibility if he's there, but if you have an unwilling participant or they're out of your life, everything's on you. And rather than trying to figure this thing out, learning through trial and error and failing, get access to the class and learn how to do it. You're talking to people who not only will teach you contextually what the answers are, but experientially as well. Who do you listen to? You listen to people who have what you want and have been where you are. Okay. So we want you to sign up for that. Our time is up. I hope this was a good Ask the Expert show. I think it's because I'm back, to be honest, even though we got the fan club.
It is. You have to be here every day.
Totally is.
I will be
That's
here
what
every
you say, brother.
Are you calling me out on my own show? Are you saying I got to be consistent? Is that what you're
Yep.
saying?
That's
No,
what he
brother,
said.
you're busy. I do realize that. That's what
That's what he said.
So listen, guys, we love you all, and we'll see you tomorrow for another great episode. But until then, tune in tomorrow. Lakeisha will be joining us. We'll be on the Couples Academy show, continuing the conversation about consistency and how to overcome laziness. Let me look at this. The only time a lazy man ever succeeds is when he tries to do nothing. Look at that. And I'm not picking on just the men, because some of you women are lazy bones as well. We're going to talk about how to overcome that. But anyway, guys, we appreciate you. Hope you got something great out of today's show. And we will see you tomorrow morning. Take care.